So, poverty. It is not a big thing that many people want to talk about. It's something that a lot of people struggle with, and it's hard to talk about sometimes. But poverty, it is a big thing in our world today, and sometimes you can't even avoid it. I personally have dealt with poverty, and it's hard. It really is. One day, my dad, we were sitting in our living room, and he got a phone call from his work saying that he had been laid off. He explained it to my brother and sister that he no longer had a job, meaning that we weren't going to be getting any more money. So, as you can tell, we've definitely struggled financially for a while. It is a form of poverty, and we struggled for a while paying for bills and everything, paying for groceries, paying for just simple things like that. After he lost his job, it really changed how I acted and how I viewed things. It really affected the way that I went through life. I was more grateful for things that I hadn't been more grateful before, because I realized after not having those things that it was a big deal. 3 things that people think about when they think of poverty is what leads to it, how it affects people, and how it leads people into better lives. As you can tell after watching the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, you can definitely tell how it changes people and puts them into better lives. But what is the thing that usually leads to poverty? Many people ask. What people think it is. Whenever you think of poverty, we always think of homeless people. We always think of the people that are on the sides of the street begging for money. Well, it's not usually just that. People think that whenever you're homeless, that you didn't work hard enough, and that's why you're there. You didn't try your best, and it's the reason you're there. You made bad life choices, and it's probably not even the reason why. Most people, they end up there because they might have just been laid off from a good job, and they worked their butt off to get there. But usually what leads from that is the economy is just not very stable at the time, and it's not good for them. It could also be maybe like the lack of income to the company. It's not their fault. The second thing that people think about whenever it comes to poverty is, how does it affect people? Like I said, it affected me in ways of how I acted and the way that I could do things now, the way I could live my life. It causes people to go into depression mentally. The mental stages of poverty they become more depressed, they become more stressed because they are having to pay for bills and everything, and sometimes because they aren't getting an income, it causes them to become depressed from that stress, and it's just a big deal that many people don't think are caused by poverty. Something that is also caused from poverty is the awareness of what they can afford and what they can't. They probably usually before that you go into poverty, you usually have everything that you want. A good life, a stable life. You have good food, good money, you're safe, you have good health. But then after that, you physically decline. After you have been lacking that income and everything, you're not getting the health care that you need sometimes, and you're not getting the right food. In our society and in our economy, the cheap food is the junk food, and that can really affect people's health. It is the sad truth, but cheaper food is more unhealthy, and it's life. You become more tired and physically in pain from living in this situation and from living situations. Maybe you don't have good shelter, maybe you don't have a good home because you weren't able to pay for the water bill, or you weren't able to pay for electricity. You can't pay for a bed anymore because it's just gone downhill so much, and you just become physically in pain and struggle because of that. This can also lead to stress and everything. The physical part of poverty, the physical effects from poverty, it can lead into the mental things too. The third thing is, how can poverty lead to a better life for people? There can possibly be better job opportunities. So if you had a job that, like my father, he had a job that was an okay paying job. But then after he lost that job and he went into poverty and everything, he was able to he was given that time to go out and find a job. He was given that time to find a better job, one that paid more and that would be able to support his family better than the other one before that one did. Another thing is, instead of making people as depressed or stressed, it can also lead to more happiness in their lives, because if you're not having to worry about that job anymore, if you're not having to worry about being on time or like spending so much time working so hard to get paid and everything, now you have that free time to spend with your loved ones or the ones around you. It's a good way to just get out of there and be yourself again. And it's just good. In conclusion, the world has truthfully never not known poverty. In the 20s, it was roaring and everything, right? Well, no. Then the stock market crashed and everything went downhill. People went into poverty. People starved. People died. That's life. The world has never known it without poverty. Those who have never experienced poverty and never have seen the struggles of it, I wish them the best of luck in life. And be prepared, because you might have the best life right now, but maybe one day the stock market might crash again, and you might not be able, your job might not be able to support you anymore. The company might not get paid anymore. You gotta be prepared for those things and expect the worst. Many things can lead to poverty, and many can be affected by it too. Like I said, things that can lead to poverty is like the company isn't getting paid anymore, the economy has crashed. Many people can be affected by it. Mentally, physically, you can physically become in pain from poverty, the lack of money. Although in the end, you just have to look at the bright side and see the positive outcomes of poverty with the hope and a future of a brighter future, I guess. Yeah. And that concludes my one more thing. Poverty, it is a big deal, and never take it lightly. Like, you would think that you wouldn't be able to become depressed from those kinds of things, but it's a possibility. And that concludes my speech. Thank you.